There is a somewhat ordinary expression, making the list. It's often attached to what is commonly known as tasks. It applies no less strongly to a worthwhile achievement, though. Most of us live our lives making lists. These lists vary from grocery lists, things to do, people to call, and things of people we like or dislike. Each day we work through these processes, inevitably receiving a feeling of satisfaction over completing a task while gleefully ticking each item off. It was not until my close friend Oliver Murray communicated a level of stress he had encountered making a personal list. This list was not one that he could arrange according to his assignments of task priorities. It was a list that he personally had no control over. It was a list that most would not even want to be on, but Oliver was literally dying to be added to. This was the kidney donor list.
And I remember when I was first telling my doctors, I go out to New York every weekend to go to clubs and dance. And I was like, okay, I don't know what they thought I was doing, ballroom dancing or I don't know. I don't know what kind of dancing they thought I was doing. But I said, I do what all these kids are doing now, all that stuff. And they said, oh, really? And one day I got off the machine in the dialysis unit, and I showed this girl a couple of moves. And she's like, I don't believe that you just got off that machine and did that. I said, that's because I'm trying to take care of myself, and I'm trying to keep mentally, because mentally helps the physical. I went to school to the Maryland Institute of Art, which is called MICA. And I studied painting. Going to dialysis every other day, 3 days a week, 4 hours a day. And I went to see my kidney doctor, and his assistant interviewed me. And she asked me about some drawings. And I was telling her that I was like a little depressed because I haven't been working, because I'm on a machine and then I come home and it's dark. And she said they were looking for someone to do some paintings for the hospital. They wanted something depicting the kidney. That's what they wanted to hang in their hallway. But they didn't want anything that was too graphic. You know what I mean? So I didn't want to just draw a picture of a real kidney with the blood, vessels, and anything like that. I wanted to do something a little more stylized. You know what I mean? But still not making you turn away from it. So my conception of was what they call with the hospital, what they say it is called a new birth when you get your kidney. And they also call it crossing, going over to the other side. That's what the doctors call it. They'll say, see you on the other side. I was on dialysis for 7 years. It really is the purifying of your blood. What they do, they put 2 needles in your arm, and one takes the blood out and runs it through a machine or a filter and cleans the blood, and then the other needle pushes it back in. As you're sitting there, it's just a process. It's like it just goes out and flows back in, goes out and flows back in.
Right.
Because of the toxins in your blood build up so fast that you only have one day where your blood is pure enough for you to feel good to function. It's just, it helps you until you can get a kidney. So it sustains you for a little period of time, if you decide you want to get a kidney. Right now, I'm 3 years into having a kidney, so my status is stable.
So it's about 5?
Yeah. It's about 5 medications that I take daily for the rest of my life, unless they come up with something new, you know what I mean, to change the kidney, or, I mean, and I'm sure before I started doing this, before I got the kidney, or before they found the ways to do this kidney operation, transplant, they probably took more pills than this.
I remember you was telling me the story about when it became painfully obvious for you that something physically was wrong. Tell me that story, man.
That story. I was walking home and I was like, I got to 12th and Pine where that little park is. And I was like, oh my God, I'm out of breath. And I had to go sit on the bench. And I was like, what? I only walked, from 12th and Market to here. What is wrong? And I sat there on the bench for a minute. Then I got home. And I was just in so much pain. But I said, oh, it's just something I didn't eat. I didn't eat today. That's what it was. Let me get in the house and eat. I laid in the bed for almost a week. People were calling me. I said, oh, I'm fine. But I was hearing it in my voice, was losing my voice. And I didn't really know what it was, but I just knew that I was like aching. My body was starting to ache. So then the next day, a week later, I got up and I said, there's nothing in this house to eat. I've got to get something to eat. So I got up, really, really out of breath and anything, but I knew it was nothing in the house. Sunday afternoon, busy on South Street. So I'm walking to go get something to eat at one of the stores on 5th and South. I made it to the corner where they had the newspaper stands, like for the city paper and whatever it was, and there was a guy selling hot dogs there. I bought 2 hot dogs from him. I turned around to walk back to my house, and I couldn't move. I was holding on to the newspaper stand thing, just, where you get them out of. I was holding on to that. And like just short of breath, like going, oh my God, I can't. And people were like just coming, South Street's busy, and it was just like people were it was afternoon, it was nice, and it was just like people were coming. I said, if I move, they're gonna knock me down. That's how weak I was, because I was so afraid if I stepped out and somebody just nudged you, I was gonna be laying in the street. An hour and a half to get myself together to walk back to 6th, from 5th and South to 6th and South, to my house. And when I got there, I was exhausted. But I had got home. I mean, it took me a really long time to get home. And I sat on the bottom step, and I went up the steps backwards, all the way up to the 3rd floor. That's how I got into my apartment.
Wow.
I crawled up the steps backwards, and I called a friend of mine and said, hey, what are you doing? He said, you don't sound right. Just like that. He said, I'm on my way down there. And he came. It took me about 2 hours just to get my pants on for him to take me to the doctor's office. My whole body was like,
wow,
like that. And I was in the waiting room, laid across his lap like this, just aching. I couldn't hold my head up. I couldn't do anything. And my doctor came out. She said, no, you got to go right to the emergency ward. And they took me to the emergency ward. That's how bad it had gotten.
And that's when you found out.
That's when I found out something wasn't right. And they had a nun come in. I'm laughing now, right, but it's not funny. A nun came in and was like, do you have any last, because I must have looked really pitiful. And I was like, oh no, I'm not ready to go. But like they were, honestly, she came in, and then a lady came in with a pad, like saying, well, do you want to sign this for your, like for power of attorney? I said, oh, I'm not signing that. All right, lights coming from the left. Thing that I think that most people aren't aware of is that when you have renal kidney failure or chronic kidney disease, it means that you don't go to the bathroom like a normal person does. You don't urinate, you don't make bowel movements, you don't do any of those things. And that's why you have the kidney failure, because your kidney is not working to clean. That's what a kidney is a filter. It cleans your body from the toxins. But what happens is once you go into renal kidney failure, the toxins never leave your body.
Afro-Americans make up the largest percentage of the largest ethnicity
In this country.
in this country on dialysis, but we're the smallest ethnicity who donates organs, and also the smallest ethnicity to receive transplants. What is it that we could do as a community to combat that reality?
Well, things like this. Documentaries.
The research involved in this documentary and my discussions with both you and the other young lady has influenced me to take a more proactive stance about
Just more of awareness.
being evaluated.
If it only touches one person, that's good. That's a good thing. At least somebody's picking up on something. You know, and if you're in somebody's presence, this is something that I always believe in art, in any field. You know, if you're in my presence for any amount of time, you know what I mean? And if you haven't learned anything from me and I haven't learned anything from you, it was fruitless.